The time has come, Mama. Your baby is not quite a baby anymore. And perhaps that moment you've been dreading for months now is finally here. Your sweet little one is ready, maybe more than you, to transition from crib to big boy or big girl bed. But there's so much anxiety there, right? It's like, okay, so how do I do this? Is this going to go easy? What if they don't like it? What if they scream? Are we going to be back into a sleep regression and all those sleepless nights? I totally get it. But before you go down that path, I want to reassure you that after today's sweet and short and simple episode, you will leave that fear behind. I'm going to give you 3 simple steps that any family can do for an easy transition from crib to big boy, big girl, toddler bed. Stay tuned. You're going to want to take notes, grab those headphones, and I can't wait to dive in with you. Hey Mama, welcome to Mom Nation. Do you want a better work-life balance and more time and energy? Do you find yourself thinking, how can I add more hours into the day? Or Googling, how to deal with mom guilt and can my marriage survive toddlers? Do you wake up with big goals only to feel overwhelmed and alone and you have no one to help you and your littles aren't listening to you again? Hey, I'm Cheyanne. I too was an exhausted mom away from my family. I too felt drained with a strong-willed toddler and wished I could find balance between being a wife, mom, stepmom, and entrepreneur. I wanted more energy to give my husband, to discipline my kids well, and incorporate Jesus into our home. But I kept telling myself that I just couldn't do it without a community around me. Until I found balance and confidence in raising Jesus-loving littles. In this podcast, you will find time and energy management help, tips for disciplining, and what to do when you have no village, so that you will find balance between all of your roles and trust your own mom tuition. Time to grab those headphones, Mama, pour that green smoothie, and get ready to be mom-inspired. You're no longer alone. Of all the milestone in our little ones' lives, this one is perhaps the nail in the door that closes their babyhood behind. I recently just went through this transition with my son Mason. He is 2 months shy as of this episode of turning 3 years old, and even though he's a very big boy, he loved his crib. He loved bringing all his little stuffies, all his little cuddles in there and getting all packed in, and he never was one of those kids that actually tried to crawl out, shockingly enough. However, just this past month, he let us know without any expectation, without any warning, that he was ready to transition to his big boy bed. And so I am in this season. I have many moms around me that have been through this season. And today I want to give you a peace of mind and a really simple strategy of how you can best prep not just your toddler, but also yourself, your husband, and your entire household that may include a few other littles or even teenagers for this big moment in your sweet little one's life. So here we go. Let's dive in. I've got 3 steps for you and we're ready to go. The first step for you to make an easy transition from crib to toddler bed is going to be have the talk. No, not that talk, not the birds and the bees. That's going to come along later in life, and I promise I'll give you an episode on that one too. But basically, include your toddler in on what's about to happen. Share with them where you're going to now intend for them to sleep, no matter how young they are, no matter how little you think they might be able to understand about this situation. Give them the benefit of the doubt and start using really just simple language that they can understand. Maybe even involve their cuddles and their snuggles, their little favorite toys in it, and say that it's now time for you and for Cookie Monster or for your bear or for your bunny to move up and go into this big boy or big girl bed. Make it very exciting. Make it like a very fun and exciting time. Even if you're feeling sensitive, even if you're a little worried about how this transition will go, encourage your toddler. They may feel a little worried too, but they are going to go off of your vibe. So, mommy, it is time to faith it until we make it, right? Have that faith that you will both grow through this this experience and talk with them about what's about to happen. Now, something else you can try that's a little more tangible besides just talking is having the other people support you in this. I know that it's a challenge sometimes to know, how can I talk to my children? Or we all have experienced probably that our children sometimes listen better to others than us as their moms. So I'd encourage you to look for books or YouTube videos that show toddlers, especially other toddlers, doing the same thing, moving out of the crib to the big boy bed. Just a simple YouTube search or a little search on Amazon, you can find books that actually properly teach your children how to do this. If you're wondering what are some good resources, don't worry, I went ahead and put some of my favorites in the show notes below. And your next simple step, now that you've had the talk, it's time to, well, almost walk the walk, right? Is involve your toddler in the process. Allow them to be a part of this journey. So many childhood experts that I reached out to and when I was researching this topic said, involve your child in picking out the bed. And if you get it in pieces, say you are like us and you go to IKEA to get this next step bed, have your child involved in putting the bed together. Allow them to feel part of this project. There is so little that our children get a chance to choose in life, and there are some things that they just have to do. However, at this mental and emotional stage that they're in, they want so bad to exude their own opinion. I think we all know that when we see them trying to say what they want to wear, what they want to eat. Well, allow them to be a part of this journey. Even if they can't pick out the bed, perhaps you and your husband have a budget or you have a certain safety precaution for the bed in mind. Allow your toddler to help pick out the bedding. Allow them to choose what pillows they're going to use for this new bed. And allow them to also be there when you take down the crib so that it's not just a shock one day when they actually see their bed gone. Allow them to be a part of taking it down. And also do so, move this bed, this new bed, into their bed early. A suggestion would be doing so before you transition, before the crib is just gone, is to put the new bed in the bedroom so that as they spend their last few nights in the crib, they can see this new bed, they can get excited, and that they can be ready for this transition. All right, mamas, you've had the talk, you've involved your toddler in the process. Now, the last simple step for an easy transition from crib to your new bed is, well, it's go time. It is time to just do it, as Nike says. So the best thing that you can do is mentally and emotionally prep with prayer. This is a very challenging step, I know, for so many moms, including toddlers. So get your spirit right and give it up to God. The more tangible, practical things as you go for it for the first time would be to start your bedtime a little bit earlier for your toddler. So if they normally go to bed at 7, start the bedtime around 6 or so that it doesn't have to be a big sudden cut and dry, you're in your new bed. Give them time to adjust. And you want to also encourage your child to feel proud of this decision as much as possible. So whether that's encouraging your child to feel big and climb up into their bed on their own instead of you placing them in there, probably like you used to do with their crib, allow them to pick their own favorite little cuddles and snuggles to bring in there too, so they can feel like they're getting to do this big new thing on their own and with them. You can also remind them that you are there for them, that you are going to be wherever you're at, whether it's in the room down the hall, the room upstairs. Encourage them that mommy and daddy are still here, even in this new exciting season, that you're there, that they're safe, and that they can trust you, and that this is something that you guys are all getting to do together. Another great practical tip when it's their first night and maybe into many nights in the future is to set a night light so that they can see this is going to be a new surrounding. Their room is going to look different. They're going to have new independence as far as being able to crawl in and out of the bed. So setting a night light so they can see where they're at, they can feel that comfort, is a really great idea. And most of all, once you go to leave the room, make sure you say goodnight. I'll see you in the morning, and I love you, my sweet little angel. Two tips that I wanted to put in as a bonus is that to let you know that your child may come out, right? That is one of the biggest fears I think I experienced when we were transitioning our son, is fearing that he will come in and out all the time. And from my over 10 years of nannying, and also again reaching out to experts, the best word of advice that I could give you there is that if they do come out, just repeat the same bedtime process, but in much shorter increments. Walk them back to their bed, reassure them that you're there, make sure they've got their cuddles and their favorite blankies around them, give them a sweet kiss, and say goodnight. And keep doing this as often as they need, but just keeping it very short and sweet. Another tactic that you can do if your child's really struggling with wanting to stay in their bed, their new bed, is you can set up a reward chart. So something that they can get up in the morning and they can see how their progress is going. You can decorate it with stickers or stamps, or let your child even write a little check with a marker, something that is giving them an incentive for staying in bed. Bonus tip! That's right, Mama. So I gave you mostly tips already on this episode of how to best help your toddler transition to this brand new season. Well, what about you, right? You've had the talk, you've involved them in the process, and then you officially did it. So once you close that door and they're asleep at night, I want to give you full permission to go pour yourself a glass of wine and ultimately bless and release it. Some toddlers transition really easily and some don't. And of course, there are always seasons. Your child may adjust to this really quickly and really well at first, and then you may notice a few weeks, a few months down the road, there's regressions and there's struggles. And just remind yourself to not give up and listen to your kiddo. Listen to what they're feeling. Don't try to judge your child based on what you hear on the internet or what your Aunt Susie said or what your friend said. Listen to your child. Some children may need some extra time. Some children may need a bigger nightlight. They may need more cuddles, but finding a solution that works for you both is the most important. Don't let anyone make you feel forced into this. Ultimately, it's time for you to trust your own mom tuition and listen to your heart. If you didn't already do so, please repeat after me. Take a big, deep breath, let it in, let it out, and pat yourself on the back. I hope that you're feeling encouraged and more ready to help your child through this big transition more than ever before. If you enjoyed today's content and just love this episode so much, please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a rating and a review. That's the only way I know which content you enjoy, and it ultimately helps me to grow the show and give you more content with what you like. And don't just stop there. In the show notes below, you're going to see a link to one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, which is connecting with you off of the podcast. I would love to invite you to come join other like-minded mamas like you, mamas who are aiming to raise their children well, who are trying to find balance out there in a strong, supportive community that want to raise their children to be Jesus-loving and kind souls. Come join us, click that link below, and we'll get you in right away. Thank you for joining me on another episode. I can't wait to see you on another one. And until then, here's a big virtual hug, and I'll see you very soon. Welcome to Mom Nation.